Hey everyone, the Motivational Professor here with a full analysis on crude oil. Now, congratulations to our members in the diamond area. We took a lot of these trade opportunities from last week. So again, congratulations. We had this first setup right up here, and then we had a perfect break and retest right above that 83.35 area, and we went up to our next zone. So of course, the question on everyone's mind is, where is oil going? And are we going to hit $90 a barrel this week? I have my opinion on that, but more importantly, I'm going to show you the technical analysis aspect of crude oil today. So let's get started with today's full crude oil analysis. Okay, so we are going to break down every time frame for you so that way you can make the best decisions for you. And again, those of you that are in my members area, I will be guiding you this week with our trade opportunities. So first of all, here we are on the weekly. Let's go ahead and grab a Fibonacci from the last time we were here in June of 2022. And we can see that we have now kind of approached this 38.2 area on the fib level. At the same time, right, this is also a weekly, let me grab a rectangle here. This is a weekly area of resistance right up here, okay? Sorry about that. I was kind of getting the colors together. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and highlight the different time frames so that way you kind of have this in place. And I think that's important to do for everything that we do here. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and change that color to yellow. And then at the same time is I want to go ahead and just type in here weekly resistance. And I'm going to make this smaller because I want to be able to use all these different areas, right? But I'm going to kind of want to leave this here as weekly resistance because eventually I'm going to remove the Fibonacci so that way you can see it clearly. And I'm going to make this in white. So we clearly are at a very strong point when it comes to our weekly resistance right in here. So the next thing we want to do is I'm going to go ahead and remove the Fibonacci levels. Okay, now that we've established the weekly resistance, and let's move this down here so you can have it. And then I want to drop down to the daily. Okay, so as we begin to look here at the daily, we understand that we are at that weekly resistance. Okay, a couple of things to note. Let me go ahead and grab my marker because it's easier for you to see, right? We did close above that high, and we did close above that high. So just based on the price action right now that we are seeing on the daily time frame, we have made a new high. Based on price action, what that is telling us is that there's a very good chance that we may continue higher. But again, on the weekly, we are sitting at resistance. And again, you can also see that as well here on this chart. Okay, so as we kind of are taking a look at this daily chart here, we can clearly see that we are at that level, which is going to be a key level. So really the question that's going to be is, are we going to break above this level of about 87.30? When we look down here before, we've been here before and we've come down. We've been here before and we've come all the way down. So this is acting as areas of both support and resistance. So that's the first thing that we kind of note here. So I'm also going to change this, and this is going to be weekly and daily resistance. So now we have two areas that we can confirm that's both daily and weekly resistance. So we need to trade off of these areas, right? We need to look for entries off of these areas one way or another. And that's why we're going to break down all of the different time frames. Okay, so now I kind of want to look at the 8 hour time frame. I like looking at the 8 hour time frame to see some type of congruence and also what is happening on these different resistance levels over here. And it just gives me more confirmation that this yellow area that I've highlighted is again a strong area. But again, we did close above this high right here on the 8 hour. So again, everything is pointing that if we do break and close above this area, then we are going to see $90 a barrel on crude oil. The question is, do we have some playing room here to see somewhat of price to come down? That's what we're going to be analyzing as we move through the different time frames. Okay, so now we are about to break down the 4 hour, the 1 hour, and eventually crawl all the way down to the 5 minute where we look for our entries. But real quick before moving forward, if you have not yet had a chance to join our members area, that link will be provided in the description of this video. You still have the opportunity for a limited time to start with $5 inside of our members area so you can take full advantage of our private chat area, trainings, live trade opportunities, just like we did for crude oil last Friday. So again, I invite you to take a look at that. And again, for the price of a cup of coffee, you have nothing but the sky is the limit for you within our members area. So as we jump down into our 4 hour time frame, a couple of things I want to point out. For those of you, again, in my members area, we've talked about the importance of this 50-day moving average, especially as we begin to drop down in time frames, right? We had this nice bounce here since we were below the 50, right? We saw price come back up and rejected, and we took that sell. Well, invertly, once we had this closure up here, we had price come back down towards the 50, and that's what began our buying last week. And then eventually we are now at this area of weekly and daily resistance. So again, we are going to need price to close above 87 to see us going higher, in my opinion. So now we're going to walk it down to the 1 hour time frame. Okay, so now we are sitting at the 1 hour time frame, and again, just showing you how you can take advantage. And I've did a full training on this in our members area. So if you decide to join, you'll be able to catch this inside of the members area on the 50-day moving average, how we can give you good entries. We saw one more push down towards the 50, and then boom, we had that last uptick inside of the 1 hour chart here. So again, kind of something to show you is that we did again close right above this high right here, right? So we made a new high. We have a new high when it comes to the 1 hour. So as we begin to walk this down, now we are going to begin to set up our trade opportunities. And then again, I'm looking at the long picture. I wanted to kind of use the 1 hour time frame to kind of take a look at a couple of things here. So when we kind of look for these types of retracements, I like to grab this type of tool and say, okay, we came from here to here. Okay, that is one retracement there. A lot of times these retracements will kind of be the same length. So we see that length there. And if we move that length over here, right, pretty close to that same retracement, you can see here, this high to this low, and then this high to this low is pretty close. If we go back over here, right, this retracement was much shallower. Now, this particular retracement is what draws my attention here. We go from here to here, right? We had a pretty bigger retracement here. And then when we look here, pretty similar retracement here. So the question is, are we going to get a shorter or a longer type of retracement from this area? Because if we kind of look at that last big retracement, let's just say we take it from here, then we should see price coming back down towards this 50-day moving average. I would say at around $83 would be a pretty safe bet if we begin that retracement process from here. So something that I look at when I look at the levels of retracement, as now we are going to drop down into the 15-minute chart. Okay, so we are at the 15-minute chart. And again, we can clearly see that between here and where price is, right, we definitely are much higher, right? Everyone can definitely see that opportunity there. So as we begin to kind of zoom in now, what we want to do is start labeling for our possible trade opportunities, right? We are definitely, still in a huge uptrend. Again, you can see here on the 15-minute how you had opportunities to use the 50-day moving average to find your entries or get very close. But now this kind of changes the scenario because we are heading into a very strong area of resistance when it comes to the weekly and the daily time frames. So as we now begin to break down the 15 and then the 5, I want you to pay attention. I'm going to kind of label the gap, and then I'm also going to give you a couple of long and short scenarios based on what might happen with the gap if we do have a substantial gap this Sunday open. So as we kind of go back into the chart, okay, we are going to go ahead and let me close this up here. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to label, let me grab a text box. This is going to be our gap right in here. I'll make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so this is going to be a gap, meaning this is where, price closed on Friday. Now, a couple scenarios we get. We might gap up, but if we gap up, we might just gap up towards the top of this. Let me make this, I'm sorry, let's make this green. We might gap up towards the top of this large zone. Now, you may be saying, wow, that is almost a 200 point zone. Well, it's an area because zones are never lines. And this is just an area that I want to work with, right? Anything here for me is a form of a possible entry for resistance. So if this is the case, what we might see is price come towards the top of this zone. Again, a psychological number of about 87, and then come back to close that gap. Okay. And then vice versa. If we come down and gap all the way down here, then the opposite will happen, which will come down here again, about 84.50, right? And then we come back up to close the gap. So this is a large area, but it gives us a framework to work with, because when we head over to the left, we can see that at the bottom of the zone, we had an area of resistance, obviously a while back ago, and we haven't seen anything here for a long time. So we are in some uncharted waters that we haven't seen for a while. So as we kind of move this up here, I want you to keep in mind that this area is a strong area for weekly and daily. So, we definitely want to always try to trade with the trend, but I am not going to buy here because of this strong weekly and daily. So for me, I would need price to come back down here in this area to then take another buy back up here. And I'm going to be giving you one more analysis before we close out this video. So if you're looking for a scalping opportunity, I would not buy here. Okay, buying here is no good because price can come up real quick and then take a downfall. Okay, because of the strong area of support and resistance on a higher time frame. So I would not buy here. I would let price come down. Let me grab this channel marker here. I would let price come down at the same time into the bottom of the zone, kind of like what happened here. And also, it'll probably, you'll probably see the moving average then begin to do kind of this type of deal as it begins to smooth out. So you want to let price come down towards this area. Let me delete that. You want to have price come down towards this area, okay, if you're looking for a buying opportunity, okay? Vice versa, if you're looking for a selling opportunity, then you want to try and sell as high as possible in this gap area. So somewhere up here, because we are at 86, right? I like this 86, 50-ish area. I like every 50 intervals to look for your first sell opportunity back down, okay? So something like this would be an opportunity for a short. I'm going to go even higher towards the zone, right? You don't want to go too high. So something like this would be the scenario on a sell situation. This gives us now 87. Let's go 87.25. So it is still a nice risk to reward here for a sell opportunity towards the top of that gap. Now, if we happen to gap, let me grab this real quick. If we gap, let's say 200 points higher, okay, obviously, then at that point, what you want to do is you want to start having some sell stops in these areas. Okay, if we happen to gap this high, okay, then what you want to do is let price begin to come down, and you want to begin to have some sell stops in this area. So I would tell you to have sell stops from 8640 down to 8600. Okay, that would be a sell stop that I would have. So 8640, right, is basically here. Okay, so what I'm saying is if we do have price that comes all the way up here, then we're looking for this scenario. Price opens up here on the way down. We catch that sell stop and we take it to our first take profit like this. Okay, that is the more ideal scenario right now when it comes to having a scalping opportunity. Okay, now if you're looking for what may happen long term, let me go ahead and close this up. And what I want you to do is I kind of want you to kind of pay attention to this final analysis. I'm going to kind of show you the same type of structure that I did earlier, but I want to show you an interesting thing here real quick. And I'm going to go ahead and jump back into our 4-hour time frame. Okay, I want to jump back into our 4-hour time frame, and I don't want to mark that. So let me go ahead and clean this up here. So what I want to show you is this kind of steep level right in here. Okay, now understand that we are in this area right now. Okay, we are in this area right now. I wanted to kind of take a look at this level right here. We have one here, right? We had that steep retracement. If we do the exact same thing somewhere in this box, okay, then that would probably take price down to about 79, right? If we do not go higher. But what I probably see at that point is that it's a little bit shallower, okay, probably to about 82 to 83 because we have an area and we have a zone right here. And the reason why I say that is because if I throw a Fibonacci retracement from this low to where price is now, right, that gives us the 50 percentile. Okay, this right here gives us about the 50 percentile. So this would be an area where you would definitely see price come down, and then we might see then price come back up and maybe make a run for that $90 mark if we break above this area. So everything will be contingent on this $87 area. This could be a longer term right here if we are going to reach 90, that we see some form of retracement back towards this 50 percentile, maybe even the 61 percentile. Okay, so this would be an area that I would clearly mark as this would be kind of a area where you can see price come back to. Let me get rid of this line. We can see price come back to, and this would be more of a long-term buy to 90 if we break above and close above 87. Okay, so this is really what's going to determine this right here. Okay, this scenario will only happen if we eventually go above here, right? We may come back up here again, retest, and then fall again, right? And make that M pattern. So everything is kind of contingent on this right here. But I think I've given you a couple of, different scenarios to look at on both sides, especially starting the week. Okay, so for those of you that are in my members area, obviously we'll be updating this daily inside of our members area. So don't worry, we'll definitely find scalping opportunities, 20, 30 ticks per day that we will definitely capitalize on. Hey, I hope you got some value on this video. This is always a Sunday, a longer analysis. If you did, you can definitely hit that like button for me. If you're brand new, hit that subscribe button. Love to have you. And if you want to take your trading one step further, but more importantly, if you want to join like-minded people in a community that we're building, I'm also building an offline network for our community as well. This is where you want to be. Okay, so you can definitely go down to the video description or hit the join button inside of my YouTube main channel, and we love to see you inside of our group. Okay, have a great Sunday. If you're in the United States, have a great Labor Day Monday, keeping that in mind that the volume will probably be less because there'll be less people trading the US session on Monday because banks are closed. Have a good weekend.